Barbershop Podcast, episode number 50. A magical, mystical number in this town, Ryan Cannon. You must have to agree with me on that one.
Absolutely.
I remember the first time I took another man's 50, Copper John's. I didn't know. I was 18 years old. I thought nobody drank 50. A couple old guys almost beat me up.
That's how I learned to underage drink. Go into a bar, order a 50, and they'll never card you.
Never once. Anyway, we are here and celebrating the 50th episode with a very special show tonight. Fresh off the plane on an exhaustive tour with stories to tell. We have Mr. Tom Wilson, Hamilton's favorite son.
Hello, Kevin. How are you?
I'm doing really good, really good.
Good.
And thanks for coming out, because I know it'll grind you into the ground sometimes after the high of getting off the stage and then having to slug it through a few airports.
Oh, hell, this is, I'm happy to be here. You're an old friend. And Ryan, apparently I know Ryan too. You look really familiar. And my son was just having a nap with his girlfriend, and then I asked him to drive me over. So
that's why he's in such a good mood. Thompson Wilson, thank you for joining us as well. You know, awesome musician in his own right, and we're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to talk about music and Hamilton and family, because, you know, it's quite a family here, and Tom's got a musical family, and that's one of the first questions I usually ask people coming up. When you were growing up, was your family musical, or was this something you did as a bit of a rebel?
No, they weren't very musical at all, and but they did like to watch Don Messer's Jubilee, which, if you're old enough to remember, was a kind of a maritime show. Don Messer was a great fiddler, and it was Don Messer and his Islanders with Marg Osborne and Charlie Chamberlain, who was a guy who owned an Esso station in New Brunswick and got on TV. And there's a bunch of step dancers, really, really hot East Coast chicks in square dance outfits, and there'd be some songs and dance and some jokes, and it was beautiful TV. And then actually Don Messer's Jubilee was the first concert I ever went to, because my father was blinded in the Second World War, and he and another buddy of his who was also blinded from the Second World War, Dave Ferguson, they got two other blind guys. So there's 4 blind guys, and I was like 5 years old, and all the ladies sent them off to Don Messer's Jubilee at the Dundas Arena. Yeah. And they all got seriously drunk on slow gin, and I think a fight broke out, mostly between the 4 blind guys. And I was like this 5-year-old kid that got to wander around the arena by myself in Dundas, and went right up to the stage, and I was just like a little kid. So Don Messer liked that, right? So that was my first concert, and I don't think that I could have been in a better situation for all the LSD and horse tranquilizers that came after.
That was the hook, right?
That was pretty well, nothing like going to your first concert with 4 blind guys and a bottle of slow gin,
Now, the era that you grew up in, there was a lot of different, really hot musical styles. It was kind of like a crossroad, and you had folk, and you had the psychedelic and the British invasion, and then you had the rock and roll and what was coming out of Detroit and New York. Did it kind of hit you all at once, or what was your first love when you first started looking at yourself as a musician?
My first love was, as I said, it was a kind of Canadian. It wasn't folk music. It was just kind of a Canadian good time, foot stomping kitchen music, and my mom's records, which were like Nat King Cole and Ray Charles. And after that, when I was 4 years old, of course, the Beatles came on the Ed Sullivan Show, and that just kind of completely blew my mind. Mostly because I saw all these girls screaming for them, and even at 4 I was able to add 1 and 1 together and figure, if I play guitar and kind of sing some rock and roll, I will never be lonely for female company. And it worked out pretty well. Yeah. But I decided at that point that I wanted to be an artist. I never wanted to be anything else, and I've said this before, that I always wanted to be a communicator, and I always wanted to be an artist. And I never wanted to be a fireman, and I never wanted to be a soldier, and I never wanted to be an astronaut, because those are kind of the things in the 60s that young boys would want to be. You know, I mean, an astronaut for sure, because the race to space was on, and but that never occurred to me. I always wanted to be a musician, really, and a writer. And I've also said before, you know, if I walk out of your house here in Cumberland and get hit by a car, I'll go to the grave with exactly the journey that I wanted to have, exactly the path I wanted to take, I've taken.
Now, where did your love of words come from? Was there a teacher or some point in time where you began to realize the significance that the written word or the spoken word had versus just...
My mother, my mother was French Canadian, and she mispronounced a lot of English words, and kind of made up her own vocabulary to get by. She was really smart, and she was really quite loving and beautiful, but she spoke her own language. So I kind of grew up in a household that a lot of the words that she used, I went into school and circulated amongst the general public, and really nobody knew what I was talking about. So I got corrected about the words that I was using, right into high school. I mean, I was getting corrected into high school about words that I was using, and that was annoying to me. So I decided that I would come up with my own way of expressing myself with words, that my use of words, I realized that if I was, sticking with the idea of being an artist and communicator, that if I was able to put words in the order that I wanted them to go in, and I wanted to express things I saw visually or things that I felt inside me with these words, that I would have a unique way of doing it that didn't have to be corrected because they were my way. It was my way of doing it. It was the same as playing music. I would go over to, I don't even remember, Streichardt's, I think it was, 36th and Brucedale up on the mountain. I'd go over to their house with a guitar when I was 12, and I'd, and I still can't play it, it'd be like... Actually, that's not too bad.
That's not too bad.
I've improved since I was 12. But I go over and try to play Neil Young songs or Gordon Lightfoot songs, and I'd be corrected, right? They said, that's not how you play it. You're doing it all wrong.
Yeah.
And that annoyed me too. So I decided that instead of playing other people's songs, I'd play my own songs. And that way I could play them whatever way I wanted, which, by the way, is what I'm doing more and more now. In this life that I'm living now in my 50s with Lee Harvey Osmond, more and more it's the live show is made up as we go along. We're able to I'm with two fantastic musicians, Ray Ferrugia on drums and Johnny Diamond on the bass. Johnny you might know from Katie Lang and the Reclines. He also plays with Blackie and the Rodeo Kings. But I found two guys that I can turn on a dime, right? And they're with me. So that enables me musically to be able to go wherever I want, to change my songs, to do whatever I want, whenever I want, which as an artist is basically rule one.
Right.
As an artist, you want to be able to do whatever you want, whenever you want.
And you've had almost a David Bowie ability to redefine yourself. You've not, a lot of artists, stick to that formula to their detriment.
Yeah.
But you've been, for hook or crook, through many transformations and incarnations over the years. Do you remember your first gig? Like, was it a church basement or? It
was a church. I played upright bass for a church group, and it was thrilling. It was thrilling to be able to play music live because I think I must have been about 13, and somehow I got my hands on an upright bass. I have no idea how. I know how I got my first guitar. I got my first guitar from Waddington's because they had a thing. My parents, there was no way there was any money in my house to get a guitar. But Waddington's had this advertisement in the Hamilton Spectator that if you went down and signed up for Chet Atkins guitar lessons, they'd give you a guitar to take home with you.
Wow.
And so I went down, of course, gave a fake name and a fake address and fake ID. There was no picture ID or anything. I was like the kid, right? And I basically left Waddington's with the guitar and never went back. And I kind of had this really rickety, shitty guitar to kind of learn to play on. I lost my trend of thought when I went over to Waddington's.
Well, it was your first time you were in the church basement with the upright
bass.
bass.
Yeah, so I don't know how I got my hands on this upright bass, but I do know I had this rickety guitar at home too, right? So I was kind of playing the upright bass, kind of playing fish bass, boom, 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 boom. And we were doing kind of up-tempo, white boy, Christian kind of sing-along songs. And that was thrilling, and that was a real thrill. After that, I would do anything I needed to do to be able to play music and to be able to play the songs that I was writing. I took a job when I was 17 at the Running Pump, which used to be on King Street, and it's long gone. It was turned into, what is it called, Eddie's, I think, later on?
Yeah, it was Trax, I think, for a while.
Trax. It was shit.
Eddie's, yeah.
You know what? It was shit when it was the Running Pump. It was shit when it was Trax. It was always crap. But they had, I think they paid me, $50 a day, and I'd go down 5 days a week in the afternoon. I'd skip out of school, out of high school, and I'd go down and do the matinee there. And it was brutal, man. Yeah. It was, you had to, basically, you know what, I sacrificed. I made my sacrifices really early. I mean, I think I make sacrifices now for the ability to go out and play music. But 17 years old, getting on the bus and going to a gig is one thing. 17 years old, skipping out of school and getting on, on a bus to go to a gig at the Running Dump, man. Yeah. That was hurting because there was like, there were some hardcore boozers and drug addicts and bikers and mobsters and quite a selection of downtown Hamilton color going on down there. They were, there was everything from guys hustling hustling the room for money to people who, it was like I think a 99-cent roast beef dinner. Yeah. I don't know where that roast beef came from, but any roast beef, I don't care. And I don't care when it was. 1970s, you're paying 99 cents for a roast beef dinner. I'd kind of question where that roast beef was coming from. So I'd go down and play there, and I'd play there for from 1 in the afternoon till 6 o'clock, till right into happy hour. And by the time happy hour came around, there was nothing too much to be happy about at the Running Pump. People were starting to kind of pass out at their tables, and people had already been in a couple fights with each other, and there'd already been a couple blowjobs over in the corner, and at 17 I got to see quite a bit. Yeah,
and you got to act like you've seen it every day.
Yeah, and I mean, I was obviously the odd man out. I was like a kid, you know what I mean? I was just a young fella. So that was kind of my first gig. That was outside of the church. That was my first job.
And, right from the frying pan into the fire, you mentioned the Hamilton and the color of Hamilton. You've always been such a wonderful civic booster for this town, not just when you're in Hamilton, but when you go across the country. You're always very upfront and very proud to be a Hamiltonian. Mm-hmm. Speak to what was happening in the Hamilton music scene at that point when you were young. Who was kicking ass when you were 17?
It was when I was 17. There's a lot of cover bands. There's a lot of bars.
What can you name a few of them that you remember?
I used to hang out. I used to hang out wherever they'd serve me. So Duffy's, the street scene. I was just too young to walk into the great bars where Ronnie Hawkins and the Hawks were playing, and where a lot of the really great bands that of that era were playing. But there's a lot of cover bands doing I don't know, Doobie Brothers or whatever the heck down at Duffy's though. Rush would play there, and Max Webster would play there, and I think I saw Susie Quattro there, which is bizarre, But, I mean, there was a connection with Hamilton. There was a couple gigs, right? Because they'd also go down to Summer Gardens in Port Dover, and they'd be able to play down there, too. That era of Jackie Washington. Yeah. Jackie Washington was an elder statesman, a gentleman, a guy that kind of defined Hamilton to me. He wore Hamilton on his sleeve. He talked about Hamilton, during his shows. He did it in a beautiful, natural way that kind of elevated the whole myth of Hamilton, made it something that was real and something beautiful to talk about rather than something to mock.
Yeah.
And then, I'll tell you that one of the first things I remember about Hamilton music was I was coming up the Jolly Cut in my mom's car, and "Oh What a Feeling" was on CKOC, and the DJ said, "That's Oh What a Feeling, #1 across the country, from Hamilton's own Crowbar."
Yeah, and people forget how awesome and huge they were.
Oh, they were absolutely huge, and that blew my mind because I never thought that anybody who lived in my hometown could make music like that, right? Mind you, this is going under the. I was probably back. We're going back in time to about me being about 12, but I remember that moment, and I remember how that just opened up the door to possibilities. You know what I mean? It made things possible to me, and that's what growing up in this town and playing music was about. It was looking for music and musicians and people who represented the future to me, possibilities. Willie P. Bennett, Stan Rogers, Ian Thomas, those were people that made possibilities, that made it possible for me to be able to play music. And of course, the one band and the one guy that just made the entire world tumble down, it brought the entire world to my doorstep, was Teenage Head, was seeing Frankie Venom, seeing great artists on stages a football field away was regular occurrence for young guys going to see music. But seeing Frankie Venom was it was life-altering.
Yeah.
It was a life-altering experience, and I think you could go across the board to a lot of people across this country. You could ask Tim Gibbons the same question.
It was for me,
for
too.
you, yeah.
I was at Dennis Morris High School in St. Catharines, and I was 15. I couldn't get into a bar, but I could drink 5-star out back with my buddies.
That's right.
And have Gordy Lewis and Frankie Venom blow my mind.
Totally mind-blowing.
Yeah.
I don't think that, it was after a Hamilton Music Award, and Thompson, who's here tonight, I don't know, you have a camera on Thompson too?
There
Thompson.
we go. Don't look like a criminal.
Guy in the corner. Thompson, I made, he was tired and he wanted to go home, and I made him stick it out at the Corktown after the Hamilton Music Awards one year, because I wanted him to see. I wanted him to. I didn't ask him to have his life changed by it.
Yeah.
I just wanted him to see Frankie Venom. I wanted him to see Teenage Head, and I just wanted it to stay in his psyche, because nobody threw down like them. There's just nobody like them. There never will be anybody like them. I don't care. You can line up all the Hugh Dillons and Gord Downeys and anybody you want. None of them can even touch the cloth of Frankie Venom.
Yeah, he was, and such a sweet man too, who I think really lived that dichotomy of rock and roll, where
he was the real deal.
He was the real deal.
He was the real deal. He was terrifying.
Yeah.
He was a little guy, and he was terrifying. I'm going to tell you that one of my jobs in the next couple of years is to get a statue. I want a giant bronze statue of Frankie Venom, and I want it to be erected in this city, because I feel that there is. I feel that part of Hamilton culture should be represented. I think that when we take our grandkids around in Hamilton, that it's important to point out, the passion and the spirit and the reluctance to give up that Frankie Venom and King Biscuit Boy and Daniel Lanois, these people are important to who we are as Hamiltonians.
Absolutely.
I'm really chit-chatting today.
Yeah.
Hey, 50th show.
50th show. It's good time to chit-chat. So we'll put it to good use. I want to squeeze some songs out of you, and I don't care if it's old or new, or if it's something you wrote about Hamilton or somebody, but play something for us and let us hear that.
Oh, sure. This is going to be called Devil's Load. mama, I'm broke. No money, no toast. I'm on a hungry, dark road. And I'm a long gone daddy with the devil's load. What devil's load? What's going down? What's coming up? Who's getting around? Lonely boy on the side of the road, trying to get a ride with the devil's load. It's a devil's load, baby, bound by pain, never coming back this way again. I'm counting the track and my bag's stowed, trying to get a ride with the devil's load. Oh mama, I'm broke, no money, no toast. I'm on a hungry, dark road, and I'm a long gone daddy with the devil's load. If Well, the devil's load is in my walls, from room to room, down empty halls, creeping away every tear I know it, trying to get a ride with the devil's load. It's a devil's load, baby, bound by pain, and I'm never coming back this way again. I'm counting the track and my bag's stowed, trying to get a ride with the devil's load. Oh mama, I'm broke, no money, no toast. I'm on a hungry, dark road, and I'm a long gone daddy with the devil's load. Well, the devil's load is in my walls, from room to room, down empty halls, creeping away every tear I know, trying to get a ride with the devil's load. It's the devil's load, baby, bound by pain, and I'm never coming back this way again. I'm counting the track and my bag's stowed, trying to get a ride with the devil's load. Oh mama, I'm broke, no money, no toast. I'm on a hungry, dark road, and I'm a long gone daddy with the devil's load.
Devil's Load, right here at Barbershop Podcast, where you get to hear the good stuff from Hamilton.
Wow.
So, I want to talk about the first time I saw you. It was Florida Razors. I was an 18-year-old kid. It was in 1983, and you would play Mohawk on a fairly regular...
Mohawk College?
Yeah.
Yeah, whenever they'd pay us.
Whenever they'd pay, and I thought, this band kicks ass. Mm-hmm. Was that an evolution from what you were doing before? Did you say, I want to have a rock and roll band that sounds like this?
Well, I was kind of doing playing coffee houses, which existed back in the 70s. It was the end of the coffee houses. There was a place called the Night 2 Coffee House, and there was a guy named Bill Powell that ran the Night 2 Coffee House, and his wife Lynn. And it was a room not much bigger than the room that we're in, maybe twice the size. And you'd go up these stairs. There's an art gallery downstairs. It was very bohemian, you know. It was a real step away from everything else going on in Hamilton. There's a couple coffee houses at the time, Campbell's Coffee House, the Bit by Bit. But the Night 2 is where I kind of hung my hat. It's where I would see some of the greatest music and some of the greatest writers that I'll ever see in a room with a trainer PA or a Yamaha PA. I think they upgraded from a trainer to a Yamaha vocal PA. I saw Willie P. Bennett, I saw Stan Rogers, I saw David Whiffen, I saw Brent Titcomb, and there was no tricks to what they were doing.
Yeah.
There was no showing off in what they did. They basically played songs to probably, well, I don't know, maybe 50 people tops would fit in this place. Anyways, that was a mind-blowing experience, and it was life-changing. So I was really quite taken with that route,
so
way of communicating.
So you were doing folky music,
yeah,
and then did you want to play a bigger room? So you're going to do rock and roll, or
well, I was going. I kind of, a couple things happened. I wrote a song when I was, I think, 18, and it got the attention of George Thorogood, and he was making a record, and he needed songs, and so they took this song, "I Want to Go to New York City," and It was going to be for an album he was making. He decided to start writing songs. The album that he ended up writing was called Bad to the Bone. And I thought that I got a bit of a publishing advance off of that. And I thought I'd move to L.A., and I thought I'd take the world by storm, because I figured if somebody was interested in my music, then, I'm ready to go out and step into the world. But I was quite unprepared. I was unprepared to actually even be alive, I was just unprepared. I ended up living off chili dogs and selling hash to tourists out in front of Groman's Chinese Theater, and playing, basically busking my way back to Canada. It was a complete failure. The experiment of me going to LA was a complete failure, and I got back home and was going back to do the acoustic guitar folk thing, and by that time, the coffee houses had kind of dried up. The listening rooms, you'd call them now. Respectfully, you would call it a listening room. Be similar to Hugh's Room in Toronto, Those were drying up. People were not, really, the drinking age had dropped, and all of a sudden, everybody who would have been keeping those places alive were out drinking beer, you know what I mean? And finding places to see music where they could drink beer at the same time. So I was going to a place called the Pizza Patio on King Street, and it was kind of a fern bar that served pretty good pizza, by the way. Really cute waitresses. And that's where I was doing. I was making $650 a week playing in these places. It was great.
Yeah.
It was a lot of money for a young guy in 1978, 9 maybe. And I was going to my gig, and I was going by Banisters, and there was this huge lineup of people going in to see a show there. And I said, where are you going? Where are you guys going? With my guitar case, and somebody told me, of course, to fuck off. And someone else said, we're going to see The Head, man. And it was like they're going to see Teenage Head. And I was thinking about myself in this kind of powder blue pullover sweater, going to play this fern bar. And I was a young man, but I was living in a very, very, unproductive old man's world. In a world, where it almost felt like, at the age of 19, it almost felt like I was giving up. I wasn't challenging my talents, and I wasn't challenging what I felt I wanted to do. So that moment was like, I didn't want to do that anymore. I finished the week at the Pizza Patio and collected my last $650 and decided to get a rock and roll band together. Because friends of mine were doing that too. Yeah. People I met at the Night 2. When I went to the Night 2, I ran into Tim Gibbons for the first time. I ran into Dave Raven and Rick Andrews for the first time. They put a band together called the Shakers.
What a band.
Oh my God, what a fantastic band. And during the punk era, these guys were harmonizing and singing and writing songs. They were like the Coasters of punk rock, which you don't hear at all. You don't hear the Coasters and punk rock put into the same sentence ever. It's exactly what they were. They were completely unique and spirited and full of life and young and incredible. And, when you talk about, I didn't have to listen to, any music coming from Toronto or London or New York or LA or anywhere. I was completely inspired by Dave Raven, Rick Andrews, and Tim Gibbons and Claude DeRoche. I was completely wrapped up in the Shakers, man. They were doing exactly what I wanted to do. Yeah. And that's when I put the Florida Razors together. And that's when you probably saw me at Mohawk College.
Yeah. And you're an artist across the board by nature. It opens the door a bit more for pageantry, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Like rock and roll is a show, and you get to be a bit more of a showman. I imagine you enjoyed that aspect.
Oh, I love being a showman. Yeah. It's funny. I was thinking. I was picking up a coffee to come down here, and I was in a Starbucks over on Locke Street, and I was listening to the music they had piped in. They had some kind of helium-voiced waif singing some old song, some gal singing. And I thought about, how the helium-voiced singers kind of took over the world, that there were singers at one time like Eric Burdon and Van Morrison that ruled the airwaves. But, and I was wondering what it would have been like if David Bowie actually sounded more like Paul Robeson, was more of a baritone, you know, or if Joni Mitchell sang like Mahalia Jackson, right?
Right.
I think I would have stood more of a chance. You know, it's kind of like that.
So you were bucking the trend at the time. As far as
I've been the uncoolest guy my entire life. I've always been the uncoolest guy in the room, and I've been actually fine with it. I've been the uncoolest guy since the moment I walked into kindergarten, so I've never been really, you know, I've never been too concerned about being a cool guy.
No, I mean, being shamelessly comfortable with being who you are. I mean, I think it seems like a fairly early age you understood that you're an individual and you weren't really out to emulate anyone.
No, I was deeply inspired by the people around me, but I guess I did my own thing. It was hard for me to do anything else, you know.
Yeah. Well, maybe you can do another tune for us. Because the last one went over so well.
I don't know. Now, how are we doing for time here? Because you know what? In case our viewers don't know, I've got to go to Screamers with my family, with my daughter and my son-in-law, and it's. I'm going to do a song.
7:32.
I'm going to give you more time. There's definitely that. Tom, do you want to do a song with me, or do you want to hold off and do your own?
Oh, we'll do it together. Sure. I'll just sit over here, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess.
Cool.
Maybe we could come in here together.
That's all right. We'll look at each other.
We can do a split screen on the cam. There we go. No.
Yeah, come on. It'd be better if we sing together.
All right.
This is Thompson.
This is Thompson Wilson, and this is Ozzy, a little black kitten on Devil's Night, dropped in for the show.
This is a song that Tim Gibbons wrote. You favorite this one? Sad songs on the radio. I'm thinking about my baby so far from home. Wondering if you're listening or talking on the phone to another guy who left you dry. Like a blister across the sky and the sun coming on. Gonna tell you why. Put your weight on me. Such a sad song. You're my medicine girl. I'll set you free if that's what you want. Like a ship at sea. You gotta keep on keeping on. You're my medicine girl. I'll bring it on home if that's what you want. Black coffee in a coffee cup. I was thinking about the things that I really want. Like a place in the country, oh so far. I'm a shooting star, but I didn't get far. With my holy Bible lying in bed and the sun coming up on my aching head. Put your weight on me. Such a sad song. You're my medicine girl. Set you free if that's what you want. Like a ship at sea. You gotta keep on keeping on. You're my medicine girl. Bring it on home if that's what you want. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Long-legged girl, keep it undercover with your seat on the back door and a Baptist lover. All of my old friends in a traveling show on the road again. It sounds so fine, like a diamond mine, to a party town down the line. Put your weight on me. Such a sad song. You're my medicine girl. It's nice. Set you free if that's what you want. Like a ship at sea. You gotta keep on keeping on. You're my medicine girl. Bring it on home, that's what you want. Bring it on home, if that's what you want. Yeah, yeah.
Medicine Girl. Tom and Thompson Wilson
Good
here.
song, yeah.
Nice harmonies, beautiful stuff. So
We
hopefully
haven't sang that for a long time. Tom moved out of town for a little while,
Just a little while.
and now he's back.
you can take the boy out of Hamilton, but not for long, right? Well, we'll get the boys for another 10-15 minutes because I have to go to Screamers. I promise I'll get them out by 7:45. So let's kind of talk about what you're doing now because
Can I go pee? Can Thompson take over?
Totally. We have
I gotta go pee.
We have
And where's the washroom?
right there.
Oh, it's great.
It's on the same floor. These old houses don't usually have.
Yeah, you talk.
You get to talk.
I get to talk. Huh?
You get to talk.
Well, I've been away for a while in Picton. I was doing bottling for Sandbanks, hanging out with my girlfriend.
Close the door, Tom. It's on mic.
So now I'm back in town. So it's pretty good to be back.
So tell me, when you go and you leave Hamilton and people find out, you're from Hamilton, it's got a musical reputation, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I
mean, even the people who don't know that are saying, "Oh, Hamilton's starting to become like a arts and music scene."
Yes, buddy.
Absolutely,
has been for a while.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you must remember, growing up being surrounded by music.
Oh
right?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the Festival of Friends, I was always there. We grew up on Barnsdale, just down the street, and I was probably 2, and I moved down to the West End when I was about 5 years old.
Cool.
But I've always been around music, hanging out backstage with the old man.
Do us a tune.
I got 2 bottles of whiskey, I'm all ready to go. One is for the road, the other's for the show. I need not no one, I know exactly where I'm bound. Running from the north, coming to your hometown. Forgive me, Father, I've sinned. I've reincarnated my lover with another again. The people of my past are coming forth to dance. I'm chasing the horizon for a chance at your romance. This summer came, thawed out my northern bones. Winter lips, too cold to kiss, too cold to be alone. Ripping down the highway, north of the 401. Tractor tires, this wheel's on fire. Tired eyes take me home. Well, forgive me, Father, I've sinned. I've reincarnated my lover in another again. The people of my past are coming forth to dance, and I'm chasing the horizon for a chance at your romance. La da da, la da da.
Very nice.
Thanks.
All right.
Switch spots?
Yeah.
Switching is spaten. How much fun was it for you the first time you sat down with Stephen Fearing and Colin Linden?
Well, it's pretty natural. It's funny we talk about it's the longest band I've ever been in, and the reason we account that longevity to the fact that we got together to honor Willie P. Bennett. So, a bunch of guys, you've been in bands, Kevin, you get in the band and all of a sudden everybody wants, people start wanting their songs to be in there. People want, people get all ego driven. And the fact that we got the band together and it wasn't ego driven, it was actually serving somebody else's music and music that we really loved, that kind of set the tone for the band. Even to this point, we just finished our, I don't even know what record it is. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but 7th record called South that's coming out in the new year. And even making that, we've been able to sustain that ability not to let our egos drive us, which is hard for artists because our job is to communicate, and our job is to use our ego in a positive way. Success,
and it's something that's ongoing because it must feed your creativity. Everyone gets together and has something that's a Blackie song. I know this is for that project.
Yeah, I mean, Lee Harvey Osmond is a different animal. Lee Harvey Osmond is what, believe it or not, what Junkhouse was supposed to be. When Ray and I got Junkhouse together, we were sitting around my kitchen table. It was supposed to be a vehicle for my songwriting. Ray, that's what Ray said. He says, we need a band that's a vehicle for your writing. And my writing at the time was inspired by the Cowboy Junkies Trinity sessions and Miles Davis kind of Blue and Daniel Lanois Zach Eddy. And so we took that kind of template of really quiet songwriter to Toronto, and nobody paid any attention to us. And then we started drinking a lot and getting in fights on stage, and then getting in fights with our audience, and then getting in fights with ourselves, and turning up the amps really loud. And then all of a sudden we got this giant record deal.
People
and
like
lots
that.
of money, and people seem to like that. And we lost. Junkhouse was a great band, great band, but we lost our identity of what we originally wanted to do, which was be a vehicle for songwriting. Instead, we managed to have hits all over the world, and everything went really great. And it's funny, I was just telling somebody the story. What is that? Concert Vault? Is it called? There's like a bootleg app.
I think it is Concert Vault.
Yeah,
right?
and I joined Concert Vault a while ago, and it came up. It comes up Jerry Garcia's show in San Diego and Lou Reed. Right now, they're all about Lou Reed, right? And it came up Junkhouse live in Scotland on my Concert Vault thing, and it was a show that we did. I remember it. I remember my wife at the time, Thompson's mom, was so mad because we got a call. She always wanted her and I to go to Scotland. I'm not Scottish, but she wanted me to go to Scotland. And my record company called and said, "Listen, you got to go to Scotland and do this show." And we've gotten a plane, flew to Scotland, and went to this castle. It was so crazy. And we did this show with Jeff Buckley and Oasis, right, in Junkhouse at this castle, right. And we got really drunk, and then they took us back to the airport, and we flew back to Hamilton, right. But that's what life was like.
Did that just happen?
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, we ran into things like that. We got to play with Bob Dylan, be out with Green Day the next week, be out with Collective Soul the next week, and we were all over the place. And it was a bit of we drove that career into the ditch just because we're a bunch of knuckleheads from Hamilton. We didn't know how to handle that,
And the lifestyle, it was like you had to live. You had to walk the walk. There was no doing it from the sidelines. There was
no doing it from the sidelines. There still isn't. I mean, even if you are going, no matter where you're going to play tonight, you don't walk you got to be doing it.
Yeah.
You got to be doing it for real. So that was Junkhouse, and that's a beautiful memory, and people still want that music. And we lost Dan Aiken 4 years ago, so that's the end of that band.
Yeah.
And Russ Wilson just got a hold of me on Facebook today, so I'm going to give him a call in the next day or two.
And all, again, wonderful people who in their own rights have supported and helped so many musicians in this town.
Good.
So I'm going to squeeze one more song out of you before you have to leave us. something.
What time is it?
It's 7:45.
Oh, yeah, we're doing okay. We had a good interview, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, what else do we have to say?
Short.
Oh,
and
well,
sweet.
you know what? Lee Harvey Osmond's back in Ontario.
Yeah, tell us what you got booked in the near future.
Okay, well, Friday I'm going to be in Crystal Beach.
A big thing growing up in Fort Erie. That was
Yeah,
Hot Dog Alley.
it's called the Sanctuary. It's a theater in Crystal Beach. And then we are almost sold out. We got a show in London, Ontario on the Saturday. And then next Tuesday, I get to jump on a plane and fly to Washington, D.C. to do a national radio broadcast on Sirius XM. So that's kind of rock star life, I'd say. You know, I'm gonna be having a lot of attitude that day. And then we're playing Ontario. You know, we're gonna be in Port Dover a week Friday. So that's the closest show. This is gonna be a song that I wrote with Thompson, and I wrote with another member of Harlem Pepper named Jimmy Hayes. He's a guitar player, and this is. This song was used by the Idle No More movement. Okay, so I'm okay to move some mics around. Good. Can you hear me calling for my one true love? Praying to the skies and the heavens above. I'm a big chief climbing on a mountain. I see the war. I see the war in the sky up top. I see the war and I want it to stop. Those aren't the right words, right? That's it. Okay. Well, there's a spirit in the river and a spirit in the tree. A price on my head that brings them after me. I'm a wanted man born of the water and the wood. I'm a big chief. A big chief trying to do some good, but I'll be hung before I'm understood. I wanna dance through the flowers and on the ground. Yes, I'm gonna dance away the war with you. Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm gonna dance this war. Oh, the night keeps falling and the wagons come. 3,000 miles with no place to run. From Caledonia to Wounded Knee. I can't believe what they've done to me, what they've done to my children and me. I wanna dance through the flowers and on the ground. Yes, I'm gonna dance away the war with you. Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm gonna dance this war away. Now there's a spirit in the land, but it's hard to find. There's walls and bridges and long gray lines. The shadows stretch across a world I knew. As all hope died. Oh baby, I think of you and all the things that we used to do. I wanna dance through the flowers and on the grass. Yes, I'm gonna dance away the war with you. Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm gonna dance this war away. Very itchy during that song.
It's always the way. That's Big Chief from Tom Wilson and Thompson Wilson. Beautiful lyrics on that. Nice. Well, Ryan, I have to say it's been probably the shortest and the sweetest of episodes, hasn't it?
I'll come back again and make up part 2, okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
But, we're going to have to make it like another anniversary show. This is 50. It's going to be hard to top 50,
Our 1-year anniversary is on November 27th. So anyone who's been on the show is invited. We're going to have it catered. It's going to be...
Is there going to be cake?
Yes. There's
well,
cake and gâteau. Both kinds.
The which?
I can't wait for the cake.
Ryan cannot wait for the cake,
Hey,
nor
man.
can I.
My mic doesn't work.
You got to have cake.
You got to
Yeah,
have cake.
there we go.
We'll make special cake.
What's the point? After you've done... you know what? After you've drank all the booze and done all the drugs and slept with almost everyone in town, it's time for cake.
It's time for cake.
Yeah.
Truer words never spoken.
Kevin, what a pleasure, and thanks for doing this show. Way to go. Your spirit is a strong one, and it's a fantastic thing to be doing.
Well, we love doing it each and every week. There's inspiration on that couch, and it actually inspires me to go on to the next week. And this town is just loaded with so much talent. If you get a chance to come to Hamilton, you're not from Hamilton, do it. See the live music here. We've got links to Tom's projects on this episode and the other 49 guests as well. You've got a lot of great talent, and we're looking forward to doing it next week and the week after and the week after here at barbershoppodcast.com.
Thank you, guys.
Each and
Thank
every
you.
week. Thanks for
Tommy.
coming out. Talk to you soon.